So this is a review for the movie Civil War. Gotta say, this was quite the surprise. Going into this, I had this idea what this movie was going to be about, but turns out, no, it was something else. You watch it, you think it's all going to be about politics because it's about an American Civil War, but that is not the case. They really don't get into why the United States is in the middle of a civil war in this movie. It just is. There are little hints here and there, like the president, was in his third term, so obviously there were changes to the Constitution, and Texas and California seceded from the Union. At one point, Florida tried to invade, the Carolinas, but it was unsuccessful. Like I said, not important. There isn't a lot of people just yabbering on about politics, which is kind of a blessing, but at the same time, feels like a bit of a missed opportunity if you're going to have a movie called The Civil War. I mean, Civil War, and it's going to be about a, civil war in the United States in modern times. But this movie, it's about war correspondents, and they're just sort of going through the United States when it's in the middle of a civil war. And, it focuses on them and, what it is to be a war correspondent. And I gotta say, there's this, stuff with Kristen Dunst's character. She's like the old hat at this. She's been doing this for years. And, this new girl tags along with her and, Kristen Dunst and her friends. And, she's just getting into it. And, Kristen Dunst's character is talking about how you just take the photos and you don't think about it. And it reminded me of the movie The Night Flyer, which is weird because that movie is about a vampire and these tabloid reporters who are, trying to chase him down. They don't even know he's a vampire, but he is. And he goes from one airport to another, killing, who's ever working there at night. And then these tabloid reporters, go and try and find him. And, gets into the morality of, tabloid journalism. And I'm not going to spoil too much, but the ending of that movie reminded me was something that happens in this one. And I predicted it because I saw the movie Night Flyer. I bet I'm the only one who watched this movie and thought, this reminds me of The Night Flyer, because that was like a direct-to-video movie. It was written by Stephen King, based on one of his short stories. Anyway, like I said, that's what this movie is about. It's about war correspondents, kind of gets into the ethics of their business, because Kristen Dunst's character just does not care. There's all these atrocities going on around her, and she just click, click, click. And, I kind of appreciate how they show that both sides in this thing commit war crimes flippantly. It's not like like I said, there's no politics in this. At least as far as I can tell, that it said this side is good and this side is bad. It's, like war happens and people do horrific things. Sometimes it's kind of confusing as to what side you're dealing with when they interact with different people. Or maybe I'm just not picking it up. I will warn you one thing. If you're a big Nick Offerman fan and you watch this, want to go there, see him in this movie, ooh, they tricked you. Or they'll trick you. Don't fall for it. His character, as the president he plays, he's only in the beginning, briefly, and then he's at the end. And I think maybe in between, you hear him on the radio. It's a bait and switch. They tried to get you to come in with Nick Offerman, like how they did with Bryan Cranston's in that god-awful Godzilla movie a couple years back, where you think he's going to be the main character or very important, but nope. Almost completely irrelevant to the plot. So don't fall. I'm going to warn you, if you want to see Nick Offerman, you're not going to see a lot of Nick Offerman in this. But aside from that, it was a decent film. I thought they did a good job showing war-torn United States. And it had some good humor to it. It had some very intense scenes. So I would say, I base how I rate movies on how much I pay to see them. I think the standard price in the United States is $8.50 versus how much I thought it was actually worth it. I would say maybe go to a matinee, try to save yourself some money if you want to go and see this. But aside from that, it's a good film. So I guess I'll just give it like 8.30 out of 8.50 because, the bait and switch, one thing. And, it's not heavy on plot. But aside from that, I thought it was a good film.